Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, retail professionals, and welcome to episode 15 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, executive editor of Total Retail. Today I'm joined by Kyle Gogan, the founder and CEO of PaulStruck.com, an online retailer of natural dog treats and chews. We're going to be discussing how Paul Struck manages its inventory during peak shopping events such as the upcoming holidays. Thanks for joining me, Kyle.
Great to be here, Joe.
My first question is, can you talk a little bit about PaulStruck.com's strategy for inventory management during the holiday season?
Yeah, sure. I guess before I jump into our current strategy, I wanted to go over a couple things, my experience with inventory management previously. In college, I took quite a few classes on resource and inventory planning, and I also worked at in the management side of a distribution center. So I kind of had a lot of theory when it comes to inventory management, and thought it would be pretty easy starting this new e-commerce company from an inventory standpoint. But honestly, it's pretty difficult, and oftentimes I feel like I'm doing the best I can to come up with these projections, but it really comes down to my gut a lot of the times and educated guesses. So I think that's something that's important for a lot of your listeners to understand is a lot of times you just do the best you can. There's no secret formula to figure this stuff out. It really is just, as the years go on, you get some better historical data. But until that happens, it really is just kind of watching the market trends and kind of coming up with your own way of projecting things out. But I guess in terms of PawStruck, the way we do it is we really try to look at everything that we've done over the last couple of years, and we've taken the growth we've seen from a percentage standpoint. We really project what sales we're looking at having, and based on that, we make our purchases, and we definitely err on the side of caution and try to purchase much more than we need to allow for more sales, and so. This is especially true when it comes to Amazon FBA, and I do want to mention that we sell on our own website, also Amazon and eBay. So for any of you sellers that sell on Amazon FBA, really making sure you have enough inventory in stock in FBA is extremely important, because not only do you have to receive it into your warehouse, you have to get it into FBA's warehouse, which is kind of a two-step process, and actually usually takes longer during the holidays. So I really suggest planning potentially months in advance for your own website and for any other channel you may be selling on. And in our eyes, the worst case scenario when it comes to inventory management is being out of stock during the holiday seasons. That's it's the loss in sales and really can ruin your customer service from the customer standpoint. If they're purchasing from you and they're having to cancel, you're probably losing sales and they probably won't come back to you after that. But I guess to take it a step further, the program that we use to manage our accounting and inventory systems is Brightpearl. It's a cloud-based program that is perfect for kind of e-commerce sellers like ourselves that sell across multi-channels. It automatically brings our orders and our inventory into one interface, and it's all our orders for Amazon and eBay and our website. And I guess the great thing about it is if we make sales on any of those channels, it subtracts it from our inventory right away, and it also syncs that inventory with those channels, which is nice. So for example, say you sell something on your website, that inventory is instantly being subtracted from Amazon, so you're not accidentally selling things on these other channels that you don't actually have in your warehouse. So I think that's extremely important as well, is being able to know at all times what you have in stock and letting the channels you're selling on know as well and have that data synced. So that you're preventing any sort of issues from that standpoint.
Can you talk a little bit about how inventory then impacts some of the other aspects of Paul Struck's business, and then especially during the busy holiday season that we're now in?
Yeah, sure. So I would say in the pet industry, there definitely is a large bump over the holidays. I wouldn't say we're necessarily seasonal. That's the great thing about our business. It's pretty consistent year round. But of course, during the holidays, you get a big spike in traffic and sales for that matter. So for us, the biggest thing is how our cash flow is impacted. We're spending quite a bit of money on inventory over the holidays. We're basically taking a lot of our profits and money that we have on hand and putting it into inventory. So that can kind of, limit the amount of money we'll have for other things that we would normally spend it on. So in our eyes, you really have to budget in advance for the holiday and make sure that you have the money set aside to purchase the inventory, and make sure that you're purchasing enough so that you're not running out and ultimately losing customers and losing sales. So I guess from our standpoint, the budget is by far the most important thing.
You talked that you err on the side of caution when it comes to buying inventory for the holidays. Do you have concerns, or have you been caught in a situation in the past where you've ended up with a lot of overstock of a product and then been burdened with those costs, or has that not really been a problem so far?
We have, but kind of on a limited basis. And luckily for us, as I kind of mentioned, our products aren't necessarily seasonal. So if I have something, I pretty much know I will be able to sell it. The only problems we get into are a few of our products have shorter shelf lives. And that's where we get into problems if we are overstocked on items that are going to expire within the year and we don't sell it in the holidays. We really are trying to push it after the holidays. So we'll probably run some sales, some clearance sales. But in my mind, as long as the amount, you're not going too far overboard, that's worth it to me to make sure that we're in stock. And especially on Amazon, I know I keep hitting on that, but if you are a seller on Amazon, you may or may not know if you're out of stock, your listing can really be hurt because the rankings are based on the number of sales. And if you're out of stock with no sales coming through, you may show up much lower on the rankings once you do have product back in stock. So on Amazon especially, make sure you always have product there. And in the worst case scenario, if you only have a few number of items left on Amazon, raise your price a ton. And number one, you'll make more money per sale, but also that will slow down your sales so you don't run out of stock. But that's obviously something you would try to avoid as well.
We've talked a lot about inventory management. How about order fulfillment, and how is that impacted at Paul Struck during the holiday season?
Sure. So our order pullers are obviously a lot busier over the holidays. And the one thing that I've seen is having an increased number of orders really opens the door for mistakes and kind of inefficiencies in the whole order fulfillment process. They just have more to do, and so it's easier to kind of accidentally oversee something that they should be paying attention to. So what I've kind of done is really created quite a bit of documentation and I guess standard operating procedures for our shipping team. So they really have this documentation in place and the processes in place so they know what to follow and exactly what to do. This really helps to minimize those mistakes I was referring to. They know exactly how to lay out the orders, how to pack them, how to ship them, what needs to go in them. And our Brightpearl, along with our shipping program, which is ShipStation, it automatically passes on, pick locations for the warehouse, which helps them find the products quickly and minimize mistakes from that standpoint. So I would say for us, the holidays, it's really important to, number one, get the products out in a timely manner. So whether that's working overtime, them working on Saturdays, whatever it takes to get the customers the product in the time that we agreed upon. And then also it's just minimizing those mistakes because everything is amplified so much when you have so many more orders than normal.
And then lastly, Kyle, do you have any tips for our audience of retailers to help them better manage inventory and order fulfillment during peak holiday seasons?
Yes, definitely. If you sell on multiple channels, like an Amazon, like an eBay, like your website, whatever it happens to be, I highly recommend finding some sort of program to help consolidate that and automate that process. So I mentioned it before, we use Brightpearl. There's a lot of them out there that do the similar thing, but basically a system like Brightpearl brings in all your orders into one system so that you're not trying to track down everything in different areas, and it allows you to scale much more easily. So, for us, if our orders increase, it doesn't create any extra work besides packing and shipping the boxes. If we were to try to do, manually process each order, that would be a nightmare because we would have, lots of more orders to process manually. So definitely get yourselves some sort of multi-channel inventory management system and try to get everything as automated as possible, just because that'll streamline everything and it'll make your life a lot easier in the long run.
Great. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank Kyle Gogan for his time. I also want to thank our audience for listening to this edition of Total Retail Talks. Total Retail Talks is available on iTunes and Stitcher, but make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. Lastly, please follow us on Twitter at MyTotalRetail or on Facebook at facebook.com/MyTotalRetail. Thanks, and I look forward to you joining us on the next episode of Total Retail Talks.